A lot of what I do on this channel too is I interview guys who maybe haven't shared their stories of combat, their trauma that they've experienced. You know, most of us have taken it and kind of pushed it down, toughened up, and really started to suffer as a result of locking it into our subconscious. And when they tell that story the first time online and share it with the global audience, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of frustration, but there's also a lot of healing that starts to take place when guys start to tell that journey. And so talk to me about that part of the mission statement for Guardian Revival.
Yeah, and let me preface, everything that my perspective is coming from the civilian perspective, right? So everything that I have is just what I'm learning, what I'm hearing, what I'm being told from our guardians. And when I say guardian in our lingo is first responder, veteran, active military, across the board. So EMS, federal government, law enforcement. So just hearing from our guardians what they go through. So again, just to preface, that's my lens, that's my perspective. But the one stat that always sticks with me is, on average, someone in America will experience 8 major trauma moments in their life, and for any first responder, they could experience 2 to 3 per shift. And so a lot of time when we say that to people that are civilians that aren't involved with the Guardian community, I'm deeply involved, right? So I'm around it all the time. But for civilians that are not, when you say that stat to them, you see their physical reaction, and they take it in. Okay, on average, me as a civilian will experience 8 over a lifetime, and they kind of think like, oh yeah, that time, and then you say, okay, an average firefighter, an average police officer will experience 2 to 3, and that's really low. It's probably more like 6 to 8 per shift. So every shift, and then you just see their head like, oh my God, like, yeah. It's so hard for some people to even like really take it on board and really like, it's just so crazy. And then to think that the system, again, from what I'm experiencing, is not built and not built for them to talk about their experience, because if they talk about it, then potentially they get their weapon pulled away, or then they get put on a desk duty, and that just combines the stress and even more. So from outside, I'm like, well, it just seems so silly to me that if you want your first responders to perform at their best, why would you build a system that doesn't allow them to tell you when they need a break?
Mm-hmm.